Hey, chiropractors, welcome to Modern Chiropractic Mastery with your host, Dr. Kevin Christie, where we discuss the latest in marketing, business, and professional growth with some of the leading experts in the industry. Welcome to another episode of Modern Chiropractic Mastery. This is your host, Dr. Kevin Christie, and today I'm excited to interview a longtime mentor, someone I learned from when I was in chiropractic school, someone I got to know throughout the career, taken some courses, and has been someone that has been on the real frontier of the clinical side of things, and that is Dr. Clayton Skaggs. But today we're actually going to talk about a little bit of a different topic outside of the clinical, and he's written a book called The Power of Doing What Matters, and we dive into some of the principles of that, and the subtitle is Discover the Mind-Body Resilience in All of Us, and his work with high-performing people of all levels, be it business or athletics. He's seen that mind-body resilience, and he wrote a book about that. We're going to dive into some of the principles of it, and it's exciting to do that. And, as a chiropractor, most of you that are listening to this are chiropractors. Resilience is something you're going to have for your career, for your personal life, and then you're also going to be able to have to convey that and communicate it to your patient base. And I think today's interview with Dr. Skaggs does a great job of diving into that, and highly recommend his book. Again, that is The Power of Doing What Matters. And in our conversation today, we dive into that. So hope you enjoy my interview with Dr. Clayton Skaggs. All right. Excited to have Dr. Clayton Skaggs on the podcast this episode. And it's, kind of full circle moment for me. Definitely learned from the doc here 20 years ago. And then, we had kind of reminisced before we hit record that we had coffee. Shockingly, it was 10 years ago, and he had a good observation that we haven't aged at all in 10 years. So that was pretty cool. But before we dive into our topic today, Doc, tell us a little bit about yourself and what's going on.
Yeah, well, it is amazing that it's been 10 years, and I guess it's probably been another 15 or 20 since you were my student, my intern.
Yeah.
Those are some of my favorite things when I see folks like you do so well and have success, and clearly have developed an approach and an articulation of taking care of people that's really good. And so as an old guy and someone who's been doing this for a while, that's one of my favorite things. And we've really got some fun things happening kind of surrounding that currently, which is trying to move 100 million people to doing what matters. And it's a big number. And yet just imagine that. Imagine if 100 million people were doing what matters. And that's not necessarily what you think matters, what I think matters, what my book says matters. It's doing simple things that everybody knows matters, and then there's specific ones for each individual. But gosh, just imagine if more folks were just paying attention to their bodies more, paying attention to what they eat, and we're eating a colorful plate that everybody knows is good. Imagine if more people were actually relaxing and resting appropriately. Imagine if more people were tuning into their families, tuning into music, tuning into the beautiful things around them more. How much easier it would be for us to help them. I mean, so that's going on. That's obviously got me pretty excited that's our current mission, and we're seeing some traction on that. With the book and some of the platforms we're launching, and then just to finish on what I'm doing. I'm still surrounded by an amazing team here at this institute in St. Louis, and they're just remarkable, from the desk to all the people on the floor. how they're helping people from around the country, around the world. We're seeing people from Hong Kong, South Korea, as well as Oklahoma City, Seattle, and New York. And I think I saw 8 people this morning from 8 different locations around the United States and world. My a couple international folks today. Uh, and so, gosh, how blessed am I to be able to do that? It's just extraordinary. And and so one of the things I'm putting time into things like this, having these conversations and things around the book is to help more people have these experiences. The that mind body resilience is in every one of us, and it's just a matter of letting it come through. It's hard, you know,
Yeah.
getting out of the way to let that come through. It's hard, but it can happen. It can happen with all kinds of things.
Yeah, let's go back a little bit to set some context for our audience. I graduated Logan in '05. I was fortunate enough, I think it might have been '04, that I was able to work with you at the Barnes Jewish Hospital, and we were on that. We did that research study on low back pain and postpartum, and that was quite an experience for me. And I believe that was before your current facility. Is that accurate? But like '04. Um,
It's right when we were opening this place. We launched this facility in '03, so
okay,
it was right around that.
yeah.
I think, yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. And so it's been cool to see the evolution of your institute there and everything that you have going on. For our audience, give them the name and some of the stuff that you do at your facility there, and then we'll be able to kind of bridge that gap into what you're doing now.
Sure. Yeah, so it's called the Central Institute for Human Performance, and we have been operating here for a little over 21 years. It is a multidisciplinary institute. We've got chiropractic physicians, athletic trainers, certified athletic trainers, physical therapists, uh, strength practitioners. Over time, we've had other physicians, MDs, and of various disciplines. And what's evolved here is a focus on assessment. I mean, that's always been
Hmm.
something in the front of what I do uh, with the influences that I've had. But currently, and especially in the last 4 to 6 years, that assessment has evolved and been refined to really be unique and comprehensive, that we feel is not produced a lot in this country. And and so we look at movement, we look at strength and body composition, we look at diet, nutrition parameters, and importantly, that neuromusculoskeletal assessment, which is what is the chiropractic base. We're providing something that certainly here at the institute is a combination of broad knowledge and experience. But what I think most of us can do, most chiropractic practitioners can do, that I'm seeing not happening in a lot of these people who come from all over,
Hmm.
is actually listen
Yeah.
to them and observe them and touch them. And because I'm seeing folks come in after 6 to 8 physicians, and they're sometimes tearfully telling me, I haven't been touched.
Yeah.
Um, so we certainly comprehensive approach, and I think there's components of it that that a lot of folks can provide.
Yeah, and obviously, I think modern healthcare, nobody's listening, and no one's actually palpating and touching and moving and actually seeing what's wrong with it. They're just going right to the MRI, and they're missing a big component of that. And so, you obviously have worked with a lot of people on the spectrum of pro athlete all the way down to just maybe a grandparent trying to pick up their kids and play with their kids, grandkids, I should say. And so you've seen the gamut there of how that works. And your most recent book is called the Power of Doing What Matters. Who is the book mainly geared towards?
Mm. Yeah, my publisher kept asking that, and
Mhm.
and it, and I'd say everybody. It's
Yep.
really it's meant for everyone, and as I've done these conversations, very nicely, more and more of the hosts are saying, "Wow, this really could be for anyone. Do you
Yep.
realize this model could be for anyone?" And so it is intended for everyone. It's written simplistically to be for anyone. It's told through stories, and I truly believe, as I said at the outset, this mind body resiliency
Mhm.
uh, is in everyone, and so to gain access to it, I think is important for the elite athlete who's trying to um, get get better at standing on the green, to the electrician who's just trying to finish out his third quarter, to the mom who's wanting to be her best before she moves into pregnancy, and even to those 6 and 8 year olds who um, are having trouble running out on the field and are running slower than they really should be.
Let's take a break from today's episode and announce our first sponsor. This is going to be Propel Marketing and Design. I've known Darcy Sullivan for years. We've worked hand in hand on my websites. I don't trust anybody else to do the search engine optimization. She does a great job. There's so much to it. A lot of the lingo and the words are beyond my comprehension, but it's just amazing work that she does. And if you're really going to get results with Google, you have to make sure your website is SEO optimized. And I really don't want you doing it yourself as a chiropractor. So you just have to have this type of stuff done. And if you're looking to get more organic online traffic that pulls in new patients, Propel Marketing and Design is currently offering chiropractors who listen to this podcast a free SEO website review. The free review will help you uncover methods that will improve your website and boost your search engine visibility. Head over to propelyourcompany.com/chiropractor and schedule your free SEO website review. You won't regret it. She gets great results. Your website needs this. Your search results need this. Head on over there to propelyourcompany.com/chiropractor to get your free SEO website review. Now, what are some of this book sounds like one of those ones where I know I'm gonna read and get a lot out of it, and then put one in the waiting room, and then put a stack. I tend to, when I come across a book like this, will give a lot of the books away to patients that all new patients or something. It's a really nice. I feel like a book like this is great for obviously the education of the patient, and it makes for a nice patient experience. It's like, wow, the doctor gave me a book that actually is going to help me out. That's pretty remarkable. So I'm definitely on my list for sure. But what are some of the traits that you've seen the best that have that mind body resilience? What are some of the traits of those folks?
Well, I certainly like your comments about the book, and I've had that experience, which is very exciting, and I think it can apply to for other practitioners where folks have read the book, and when they come in and I then sit down with them, they tell me, I now have hope that I can recover, and so I think what the book does provide, and what comes forward for resiliency is that you have control of these things if you'll just do some very simple things,
Mm.
and simple things like parasympathetic breathing, simple things like reading on a regular basis, and what I think is foundational for helping practitioners is the book suggests that these individuals have a circle of advisors that's creating logical pursuits, logical questioning, logical approaches to health, logical approaches to performing, and so uh, I strongly believe in in having a circle of advisors that is helping you and reevaluating that circle of advisors pretty routinely. And so resilience is thrown around a lot. I mean, it's kind of all these phrases that all of a sudden is trending. Oh, you hear someone being interviewed, and I really felt my resilience is good. And uh, uh, it's our ability to adapt to change, or our ability to respond to stress, and and so to be a good responder uh, requires preparation. And I think the fault in most situations with individuals, the reason they're not good responders, the reason they're reacting and then not having good results, is they think that these things are just going to be there for them,
Yeah.
and every uh, every approach and business or otherwise knows that preparation is key. So preparing for your resiliency is one of the most important things. And so that involves, as I say in the book, finding out where you stand.
Mhm.
And I think, chiropractic, the chiropractic approach for its sometimes challenges with some of the philosophies, it it instills in you to to observe to observe your patient, to observe where they're standing, uh, and and unfortunately, some of that analysis has moved out of our approach
Yeah.
in chiropractic. We've drifted into more science-based database things, and so I strongly encourage identifying where that patient stands. As Vladimir Yanda said, your standing position is the beginning of all movement.
Mhm.
And if you're standing poorly, you're likely to be moving poorly.
Yeah.
So, uh, you know, preparation, know where you stand, to then know what you need to do. And and so some individuals may need to work on their movement. Some may need to work on diet and nutrition. Some may need to work on their strength. Some may need to work on um, their responsiveness relative to their mindset. And really the emphasis in the book is that piece, mindset, that I just keep finding out more and more every year is the most potent.
Yeah, and going back to your point, this book is for everyone. I can imagine this would be great for our audience of chiropractors. It's the vast majority of our audience is chiropractors, and you know, we work with a lot of chiropractors, and resilience is something that they have to really achieve. I mean, there's going to be ups and downs, and it's just going to be a roller coaster if you practice long enough, right? And there's going to be great years and bad years, and there's going to be good months and bad months, and you got to be able to maintain that levelness, and you have to do that, for yourself, for your family, but you have to do it for your patients as well. And I think that's the tricky part of what we do as a profession is we're trying to be a healer and get people better, and a lot of times we're going through our own stuff. So I imagine, implementing the principles in this book as the actual chiropractor is going to be helpful, and then obviously instilling that for their patients is going to be really important. One of the things you mentioned was a circle of advisors. I think, that's been huge for me. Back in 2022, we actually started a mastermind group of higher level chiropractors where we actually meet 4 times a year in person. As we record this, I leave in a couple days for Boston for our East group, and I would say that's what's been one of the things I didn't know would come out of the mastermind when I started it, was that it's become a circle of advisors, and then people within the mastermind have smaller circles within it that they get consistent help with and accountability. We have like a WhatsApp group type of thing, and a few people I'd mentioned a couple of days ago was like, I can't wait for our quarterly shot in the arm by getting together and working people. And that circle of advisors idea that you mentioned has been so helpful for that. Now, what would you recommend? I just want to stay on this circle of advisors for a minute, but for the layperson, not the chiropractor, what are some people that that a patient should have in their corner in regards to circle of advisors that would help them out with this resiliency?
Mm. Well, I love what you're doing there with that regular meeting and having that group of peers. I think that's fantastic. And I think as we're running in life and working and taking care of our families, it is really easy not to pause and have recollection or contemplation, and that's where this circle can help you have pause. And so it's no mystery, uh, fascination that people of faith have good longevity and good resiliency, because what do they have every week if they go to church or they have some type of spiritual um, interaction? They're getting a reset, right?
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
certainly, I'm a believer that having some spiritual faith circle is essential, and and I didn't come up with that, obviously. And then, obviously, a practitioner, and this doesn't have to be a chiropractor, doesn't have to be a physical therapist or any certain discipline.
Hmm.
As Carol Levitt always said, it just needs to be a practitioner that is logical thinking, is caring, is putting attention to uh, things like listening and observation. So that's what I suggest people look for in
Mm.
practitioner, and and then obviously friends, and friends are um, like, really key thing. I mean, there's different philosophers who said you're lucky to have you know 5 friends at the end of your life, that you can call really good friends. Well, I think the pursuit is to have as many as you can, and not try to have uh, so many best friends. And so that's probably where I'd land on
Mhm.
that question.
Yeah, no, I think it's great. Let's take a short break for one of our great sponsors, TrackStat. It is a new type of software plugin for your EHR that combines patient communication, marketing, automation, and statistics with patient and employee tracking. Built by chiropractors for chiropractors, it shows your team what to focus on each day. See patient visit habits, missing information, unpaid bills, insurance collection visit average, and more. Great visibility of data so you can focus on filling your office with your best patients. When you can see what your staff and patients are doing or not doing and take action accordingly, your profits naturally grow. Take TrackStat for a test drive in your office with our free trial. Not a techie, no problem, we can help. To get started on your free trial, visit trackstat.org and watch the demo. That is trackstat.org. I want to ask you a question. One of the things we did, we have a few members in our mastermind that have been practicing for quite a while. They're in their 60s and in their early 70s. And last summer we had two of them come up and we did a wisdom session.
Mhm.
Because I think one of the things is like when you talk to younger people when they're in their, late 20s, early 30s, let's take it to the chiropractor for a minute. And you can have, people that are listening, if they're not a chiropractor, they can bridge the gap there to the layperson. But, being in your late 20s and early 30s, mid 30s, it can seem overwhelming, and it seems like a lot of people are potentially facing burnout. And one of the things that we asked the two gentlemen that spoke about, okay, you've been doing this for 40 years now. You're in a really good place now. Was it always easy? Like, tell us the ugly. We wanted to hear the ugly. And we had one whose practice like physically burned down one year, right? Like, and
Yeah.
and again, both these docs are doing great now and have had a great career and financially free, and the other one, the dot-com bubble got them really bad, like everybody's got their war stories, but they maintain resiliency, throughout that, and I think the thing that I found interesting that people that can maintain that resilience is they also can maintain a level of fascination and motivation, throughout their years, and one thing that stands out, to me with you is you've always maintained that fascination and motivation as you've, uh, progressed. What would you say? I know it's a loaded question, but to that younger practitioner that it's hard, it's struggling, to where stick with it and and see the forest through the trees.
Mm. Yeah, well, I've certainly had my challenges along the way, um, and things happen that you you certainly are curious about, and yet what the philosophy that I hold on to that is in the book, and I sorry if I keep bringing up the book, but
No, that's why we're here.
it is uh the intent is for that 100 million folks.
Yep.
It is there are good things around the bend always. There are good things around the bend always. And uh, that means when things are challenging, there's good things around the bend. And when things are good, uh, there's some undesirable things around the bend. And so knowing that, then you you tend to be less reactive when things are good or not good. Hey, there's challenges coming. And and so I think that perspective is important to hold on to. It's kind of like the rule of thirds, where you train one day, man, that's a great training day. You
Mhm.
train another day and is okay. And you train another day, man, that was horrible. And so if you know that going into training, then it's okay. So if you know that life is going to be great and then not so good, then that perspective is key. And I was asked, I was on an interview recently, and it was during this tornado here in St. Louis. And I was supposed to be talking about something else, but they were asking me all these tornado questions. And and, and so this interviewer said, "So what would you tell the uh, the people who lost their homes and who are struggling right now?" And I said, "Well, uh, probably similar to what I tell some of my patients who are struggling in chronic pain and trying to see their way out, is to focus on others." And she didn't necessarily respond ideally, but I think that's also what's helped me
Yeah.
in some of my downtimes. And I was fortunate to have circle advisors that prompted me to
Mhm.
do that. And when you focus on others, you'll then see other things to do, and you'll get bright lights by helping them. And so again, this isn't anything new under the sun. This is obviously biblical, um, and that that's probably what's helped me the most is put
Yeah.
attention in everything we do, and uh, even all the way down to that micro moment where you're about to walk in the room with one of those undesirable cases that
Mhm.
is just not responding, maybe not the most fun case. And I've told my associates over the years, when you put your hand on that door, say, "What can I learn?
Mhm.
What can I learn from this individual today?" And that'll open your mind for discovery as you head in there.
Yeah, I love that answer. It reminds me of I'm a member of Strategic Coach, which is an entrepreneur coaching group, and they have a little PDF thing that's I think it's called the Scary Times something or other, and it's just like it's like 10 things to do when it's a little bit scary in business. It's designed for business, and one of the things on there was focus all your energy on your customer, right? And in
Mhm.
our world, like focus on other people, focus on your patient. Like when you're having a bad month or a bad week or it's a whatever, focus on the patient. If you're starting up a practice and you think it's going to be all hunky dory, out of the gates, like
Yeah.
you're gonna have some tough times there. You're gonna have some cash flow crunch. Focus on the patient. I love that answer. It can really help kind of get you to that next step. And now a little bit of a loaded question, and I know it's always hard to manage it like we do with our patients as well. But it seems like there's an epidemic of people who they feel a little bit uncomfortable and they go right to giving themselves a condition of like, burnout or overwhelm, and they go right to it as soon as there's a little discomfort or a little challenge or unease, right? I feel like we may have latched on to that a little bit too
Mhm.
much. And again, I know there's people with actual diagnosed situations, so I'm not discounting it, but I do think not enough people are comfortable with being uncomfortable. Obviously, some of the strategies in the book would help them with that. But what would be some other things you would say to that person if they were, if you somehow fell on their circle of advisors and you had to talk them into the next 10 years? Like, look, you're hitting a little bit of a road bump now, but you're going to be okay.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that labeling in our culture, everything from burnout to ADHD and
Yeah.
the latest mnemonic. There's a wonderful book that I read recently, The Age of Diagnosis, that
Mm.
really zeroes in on the inappropriate labeling that's happening. And yes, once that label hits, we get attracted to it. We start looking for it. We start putting attention to the symptoms, long COVID, things like that. So I think it kind of goes back to some of the things we've talked about, which is focus on known good things.
Mm.
And all those things we're describing relative to our culture are hard. And so I hear it quite frequently. A case that has success here, they'll say, "Man, what you guys figured this out, and I'm better. And why isn't this happening more? Why didn't other docs see what you saw and da 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 and help me get there?" And I usually answer, well, because it's really hard. It's really hard to keep doing the good things, especially when the rest of the culture, a lot of the culture, is saying, "Don't."
Yeah.
You know, and when a lot of the culture is saying you shouldn't be uncomfortable, then you think, well, I shouldn't be uncomfortable. But we are going to have discomfort, and it's okay, and it's the building block for resilience, really.
Yeah.
And so often I'll tell people in pain, people who have a bump in the recovery, uh, or individuals who are going through a tough time. This is a gift.
Hmm.
This is a gift. And when you work through this, you're going to have strength and responsiveness and resilience and knowledge that you can use for the rest of your life.
Yeah. Yeah.
So so any bump, any injury, I love injuries early on in our care. I love
Mhm.
them because it's an opportunity for us to teach them through healing. It's
Hmm.
an opportunity to teach through healing. And then no, we can take care of anything that comes our way.
Yeah.
So kind of a circle, and so uh, yeah, I would probably have a conversation with them about a label, and that's all that is,
Mhm.
and in that um, you have some challenge going on in your world that you can just tackle. And one of the pieces of my book is an important thing I've taught certainly to our whole team and many clients that come our way and athletes along the way is choosing good words.
Mhm.
And, it's one of the things we have control of is our word choice.
Yeah.
And, and so you can't use words like sad, bad, frustrated. I mean, they just have to go off
Mhm.
the vocabulary. And because what do they trigger? They trigger those things that get us thinking about those undesirable things. I have a client, very successful businessman, and if you say the word worry around him, he goes he goes nuts. Like he's
Mhm.
like, "What? What'd you say?" And yeah, and I love his sensitivity to that undesirable, uh, dysfunctional word.
Yeah, it's amazing the power of the mind for sure. There's another good book that I like called Chatter, and the author's name is Ethan. His first name's Ethan, but it's called Chatter, and he talks a lot about what you tell yourself,
Mhm.
and even to the point of like, you don't say something like, "Oh, I'm an idiot." You would say, "Kevin, you're an idiot," right? You're kind of like third personing it so that you're not owning it so much. Like kind of, he used the example of like Tiger Woods would be when he was in his prime and he'd hit a bad shot. Like he's like, "Oh, Tiger," like it was his way of getting it out there, but it
Mm,
was almost like distancing himself from it. He's got a lot of these little
mhm.
tricks on preventing the rumination that we fall into. And I think obviously a lot of people dealing with physical ailments or maybe some mental stuff, there's a lot of rumination going on with that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Let's take a short break from today's episode to tell you about the best decision I've made in my clinic in the last 10 years, and that has been adding shockwave therapy to our clinic. The outcomes have been really impressive. Certain conditions we were struggling with in the past, we're now seeing results with the shockwave therapy for that. And second of all, the ROI has been really good. When you make a big investment in something, you want to see a return, and we're seeing that return in clinical outcomes and in our investment, and that's been really nice to see. I chose Keenest Medical for 4 reasons. One is the technology is top notch. You have to have great technology. There's a lot out there that isn't quite up to snuff. The second thing is they have a really good clinical training. They have an exclusive partnership with Academy of Shockwave Excellence so that you can become clinically proficient in shockwave. You do need to get skilled at it. I think that's a big differentiator between practices that are getting great results and seeing the ROI is they have a great clinical aspect to that as well. So you want to get trained appropriately. Third is they have in-house service team for all of your technical support, which is key when you're investing in a machine like this. And then lastly, they have a very in-depth marketing and business support for you so that you can launch this into your practice effectively, that you can get that ROI on it, that you can get the clinical outcomes. And they also have really good financing options if you need that. So go to kinasmedical.com, KINAS medical.com, mention MCM podcast and receive a free shockwave in practice book with a purchase of a unit. So that's kinasmedical.com, KINAS medical.com, and mention MCM podcast. Kind of last question on it that I have is, you mentioned a couple things like, maybe some breathing and meditation, things like that. I was recently listening to a podcast. It was actually the guest was Jeffrey Katzenberg, who's the Hollywood writer, producer guy, super successful, and they're on a whole mission because now people are starting to realize what social media and smartphones have done to our youth, and now our youth that has grown up with that their whole life are in their 20s. So now a lot of them are patients of ours. And there's a lot of issues obviously going on with that. And I think even people that are in their 30s, 40s, 50s are dealing with it as well with too much of the screen time and maybe some anxiety around that. What are a little bit of the recommendations around finding that separation from the noise, whether it is the quiet time, time to think, journaling, breathing. What are some of your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so there's, I don't know, I think 15 to 20 exercises in the book that
Hmm.
we've used over the years, and the book is a compilation of everything that we've been doing for the past 20 years. And so, certainly breathing, right, it's a pretty natural thing we do all day long, and so if you can institute a breathing practice that then becomes a, other than conscious activity you do throughout the day, where you're stimulating the parasympathetic nervous system, then that's going to be helpful. Obviously, breathing's really trending from Wim Hof to Nestor and others.
Mhm.
Uh, and and my approach is to keep it simple, and with all these exercises, to keep them simple enough that individuals will and can keep doing them.
Mhm.
And just because, I was listening to a biohacker the other day talk about all these different things he does in the morning. He meditates with his compression pants on and different things. And that's just not sustainable for most people. So, uh, a simple diaphragmatic breathing practice where you put your legs up on a chair and focus on belly breathing. If you do that and get better at that and do that every day, we you will change your physiology.
Yep.
And whether you're 8 or 80, we have evidence that we've done that. And so simple things like that, reading a book 30 minutes a day. I mean, what a what an amazing thing that the average person is reading one book a year. If
Mhm.
you read a book 30 minutes a day, you increase your longevity something like 20%. It's just incredible. Juggling, it goes in and out of trends. I just saw Carlos Alcaraz holding his juggling balls the other day.
Yeah.
We've been teaching juggling for, now 15 or so years, and it's one of the most wonderful things you could do that trains that relax, contract mechanism.
Hmm.
And and it doesn't decreases cortisol, increases parasympathetic activity. Even just tossing one ball up
Been doing that.
and doing that. And so,
That's
uh,
I like that. Those are some of the things that I think, are huge. Especially in the day of, I love Audible. I listen to books all the time, but I'm always reading a book too. I basically
yeah,
will, like listen to a book when I'm driving or working out, things where obviously you can't read a book. And then I've got a book that I'm always reading. And I definitely work through a good amount of books and get some reading in the morning and at night. And it definitely just, it really helps. It helps with attention span too, especially in today's day and age. It's just been really, really good for me. And so, I just want to challenge people because obviously your book is going to help them realize that you can get more resilient. I think some people just chalk it up that, yeah, that person was born that way or whatever. Like, you don't have to go into the Marines to become resilient. Yeah, that definitely will help. um, but you could do it in other ways and in real world ways for people like you and I. I don't think they'll take us into the Marines anymore, Doc. I think we passed that.
yeah,
But I want you to just tell the audience, like, give them some insight into how, like, obviously this book will help them do that, but challenge them into like, you can get better, you can get more resilient, you can work at this. It may not be, happen in 6 weeks, but maybe it's 6 months or a year, whatever it is. Talk to them a little bit about like they can get better, they can get more resilient.
yeah. So, I think it is sometimes, this whole idea of what we should be doing or not doing is is tabled as as mundane, or oh, I know that. Like, I had one fellow read my book and say, oh, that seems pretty straightforward. And I'm like, yeah, well, he was probably 30 pounds overweight anyway. So, and so these are things that are known and have been known for
Yeah.
thousands of years. And the curious gap is that most of us aren't doing them. And so my challenge would be, hey, just pick 3 or 4 of these things in my book
Mm,
and do them,
yeah.
and do them consistently. And I I can guarantee you your life will change, and anything else you're trying to do
Mhm.
can get better. Um, and yes, the mind body resiliency is in all of us, and it's fascinating. That's taken all all these decades for us
Mhm.
to acknowledge that. I mean, Ellen Langer in the 70s was doing studies on how the mind affects the bodies, and then placebo studies were well before that. Uh, so it is known that what you think is it turns into your physiologic response, and so you can control it. You can control what you do. So why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
And for practitioners, the thing that I think can be most rewarding for you is when you do this and then you experience it and you then you own it and then you teach it, it multiplies
Yeah.
for you. And then that's again nothing new under the sun. The most impactful imprinting thing you can do for your brain is to gather knowledge, interpret it, contemplate it, and then teach it.
Mhm.
And so by reading this book, reading books like this, doing the things that build resiliency within you, and then you teach that to someone.
Yeah.
uh,
I love it. I love it. And so how can they find the book or find out more information on what you have going on?
the power of doing what matters.com is a book website we have, and or Amazon, obviously, as that type of thing. We're just launching a new platform called curiousgap.com.
Okay.
That'll an extended website that will offer breathing courses, other educational courses that expand on what we're trying to do for the book. And yeah, just hope people will keep moving down this track to
Mhm.
ask better questions, and that'll serve our kids and grandkids.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for your time today. This has been great. And hopefully we can have a coffee again in person and not be 10 years.
I love that.
I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. And if you want to make the shift from busy, broke, and broken to time-free and cash confident, or you just want to continue with the exponential growth, check us out at modernchiropracticmarketing.com. Look at the MCM Mastery tab, watch the short video on there, and check out what we are doing now for evidence-informed chiropractors. We are equal parts coaching and marketing done for you. Yes, you shoot some videos, we help you with campaign strategies and ideas and really become a thought leader in your community. You shoot those videos, you send them to us, we produce, edit, and brand them to you. Then we distribute them through all of your channels. We also take them and we turn it into one good blog per month. And every other month, we have Darcy Sullivan producing a robust blog with a topic that you pick from her database to help with your SEO. So we essentially become your content marketing agency to make sure your practice is always having ethical, elegant content marketing to help grow your practice. On the coaching side, we also help you with everything from marketing ideas to business, communications, finances, anything practice growth, and really try to help prevent you from being stuck on that island. And we hold you accountable. We have a great group of doctors that are just doing amazing things, and we look forward to help you out to take that next step in your practice. So again, check us out at modernchiropracticmarketing.com and learn more.